So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest. He lives locally, not from local, that's what I've gathered. He's metal as all fuck. So I want you to extend as much love and affection and clap your hands, stamp your feet. Welcome to the stage, Mr. Paul Scoble!
Good evening, Fuel. How you doing? Yeah. You alright? Yeah. Good evening. Good greebling. I can be quite a grumpy, irritable old git. I know you're looking at me and thinking, surely not, Paul. You come across as a veritable ray of sunshine. You're probably picturing me skipping across a meadow dressed in a pretty little summer dress, anointing the wounds of injured woodland creatures or feeding moonbeams to my pet unicorn. But you couldn't be further from the truth. I was at the seaside and there was this man in the sea. He kept shouting, "I can't swim, I can't swim." So I shouted back, "Well, I can't play the trombone, but I don't feel the need to shout about it." I find most people and situations more irritating than a sandpaper condom. For example, I can't stand people who like rocks. I was a fan of magma before it was cool. And I can't stand hipsters with their furry fat faces and their tiny feet running round and round in their stupid little wheels. No, hang on. Hamsters. I can't stand hamsters. And gerbils can fuck off as well. Those are two of my little pet hates. Oh, we've got standards. One of my slightly bigger pet hates is people trying to sell me stuff. The more someone tries to sell me something, the less I want it. Can I help you with that? No. I can probably get you a discount on that. Please leave me alone. 50% off. Didn't I just ask you to leave me alone? You can have it for free. Fuck you, I don't want it now. I'm a, what's the word? Idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. I know it's not their fault, I just don't like it. It's lucky they don't give you the hard sell while you're food shopping or I'd starve to death. I can't stand TV adverts either. I hate adverts that try to suggest that buying a product will make you some kind of a rebel. It's been a Puma ad on recently that featured Usain Bolt and Mario Balotelli. The ad started with the line, "Calling all rebels." Oh yeah, calling all rebels? Because there's nothing more defiant, subversive, disobedient, maverick, or rebellious than doing exactly what you're told. Be a rebel by conforming to what this advert tells you to do. Conformity, it's the new rebellion. And I hate the way people talk in adverts. There was a Nokia ad that was set in a school play where all the parents are fighting for a better position to photograph their kids while one couple sit quietly at the back of the hall. The wife asks her husband why they aren't acting like arseholes like the rest of the parents. And he replies, because with the 45 megapixel sensor on the Nokia something or other something, we're at the heart of the action. Oh, please, Nokia. People just don't talk like that. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe advertising executives talk like that. Darling, while you're in the kitchen, can you put the kettle on? With the Russell Hobbs Boil Master, you'll have boiling water in seconds. Yes, dear. By the way, what time do we need to leave for your mother's tomorrow? The time, by Accurist, will be 2:00. Apart from going to see your mother, is there anything else you wanted to do this weekend? Yes, because if we book today, we can get money off on weekend city breaks with this exclusive, once-in-a-lifetime offer. Oh, for God's sake, Colin, why do you always talk in slogans? If you had a different job, we'd have children with normal names instead of having kids called Massive Savings and Special Offer. What sort of man calls his daughter Special Offer? Are you aware of the trouble that Special's been having now she's moved up to secondary school? Another advert that really wound me up was an advert for an online casino called 24/7 Casino. In the advert, they made a huge deal about the fact that the website was online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's 4 a.m, you want to blow your savings? It's online, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Which is great, because don't you just hate all those websites that obey internet opening hours? Oh, damn it! I wanted to buy a book on the internet, but it's after 5:30. Everything's shut. I want to do some online gambling on a Sunday after 4 p.m. Are you mad? All online casinos are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Most real casinos are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Maybe this is actually about marketing and targeting a particular demographic. We're going for the highly addicted customer. They care about the 24-hour availability of highly addictive gambling sites. I got to admit, I don't understand gambling addiction. I understand, here's a load of money, here's a load of drugs. Now I'm addicted. That I get, I understand that. Here's a load of money. Now I'm addicted. I don't get that at all. I'm not trying to suggest it doesn't exist. I'm just saying that I don't get it. It seems like there's a stage missing. It's kind of like getting addicted to just giving your money away. If my life is going to be taken over by addiction, you better believe I'm going to get addicted to taking something. Alcohol, drugs, Lemsip, Tixie Licks. I'm not getting addicted to just giving my money away. Twiglets. Hey man, you got anything? I really need some Twiglets, man. No, I've asked him, man. He's only got scampi fries. Oh, come on, man, I'm desperate. I've been going through bins looking for discarded Marmite jars. I would rather inject powdered Twiglets into my penis because every other blood vessel in my body is prolapsed due to my out-of-control savoury snack addiction and my habit of mainlining Ribena than get addicted to just giving my money away. But hey, I'm not judging. So if there is anyone in tonight who is addicted to just giving their money away, I am quite happy to facilitate your addiction. Okay. I do actually have a very addictive personality. I'll cost you a fortune and I'll ruin your life. I did used to be very addicted to smoking. You could have tarred roads with the stuff I coughed up every morning. BP wanted to sink exploratory wells in my lungs. When I gave up, I made a little deal with myself that if I ever got a terminal disease, I could start smoking again. So I might be devastated that I'm going to die, but at least I can have a fag. This means that now, if I walk past a group of people smoking outside a pub, and I get a whiff of that gorgeous, amazing smoke, I think I am longing for a terminal brain tumour. Come on, massive aggressive glioblastoma. Daddy wants a fucking cigarette. Now that's addiction. If I saw a mushroom cloud and realised that a nuclear bomb had gone off near me, I wouldn't be trying to decide whether to run towards the cloud and get a quick and painless death or run away and try and survive in a post-apocalyptic nightmare. My first thought would be, where's the nearest tobacconist? 4-minute warning, you say? I reckon I can get 2 in, maybe 2.5. But humanity is doomed. Brilliant! I can start smoking again. I started trying to give up smoking in 2007 and actually gave up in 2012. As you can probably tell from that, I'm not very strong, but I am persistent. There are 2 main ways you can give up these days. You either get a drug called Chamfix, which is an antidepressant, so you're basically off your tits for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I think you end up so fucked you just forget that you used to smoke. Or there's the nicotine replacement route. This is where you slowly and painfully wean yourself off cigarettes onto patches, gum, sprays or vaporizer, and then you slowly and painfully wean yourself off the nicotine replacement onto nothing at all. Nothing. I chose the nicotine replacement route. Did I mention the fact that I'm a fucking idiot? And if you think I'm grumpy now, you should have seen me when I was giving up smoking. There were days when I was at work and I just spent the whole day growling at anyone who came near me. I am disgusted, sickened and deeply offended that you could ask me that question. No! I do not take sugar in my tea. I'd have a go at trees when I was on my way home from work. You think you're so big and special just because you're essential biomass oxygenating the planet? Or paving slabs. Look at you all flat and grey. No wonder you get walked on all day. I'd get home from work and would spend hours pacing up and down in my living room, ranting and raving to myself about anything and everything. I think my neighbours thought Satan had moved in next door. One day, one of my neighbours passed me in the street when I was on my way home from work, going, "Grr, tree, paving slab, grr, angry, angry, angry." And they realised they were right. Satan had moved in next door to them. I did have quite major anger management issues when I was giving up smoking. I did think about getting some kind of therapy for it, but then I thought, nah, fuck it. Well, it's not like it's me that gets hurt, is it? But your anger hurts everybody, really? You're the only one with a broken nose. I did deal with my anger management issues. I gave up smoking, and that sorted that out, kinda. There is a sound at the centre of the universe. It's the sound of someone saying, "Oh, bugger, I dropped it." And I think that says a lot. But in many ways, it asks more questions than it answers. I've always been interested in the big, important questions in life. Questions like, what is the tooth fairy actually doing with all those teeth? And is a metrosexual a man who gets a hard-on if you give him a free paper? Or if an infinite number of American rednecks drive down an infinite number of back roads and fire an infinite number of shotguns at an infinite number of road signs, yeah, will they eventually write the entire works of Shakespeare in Braille? I think my interest in big important questions is because I come from a very religious family. My parents made sure I had a very strict Christian upbringing, which, as you can probably tell, definitely had an effect. I tried to believe, but belief is one of those things that you can't really force. So I don't believe Jesus walked on water. I am willing to concede, however, that due to its nature as a non-Newtonian fluid, Jesus could have walked on custard. I think I'd have been more likely to believe in God if one of Jesus' miracles had been to turn the entire Lake of Galilee into custard. I think the world would be a much happier and more peaceful place if Jesus had created hundreds of thousands of tons of pudding. And for his next miracle, Jesus did turn Mount Sinai into apple crumble. And the people did feast on apple crumble and custard, crying, nom nom nom, oh Lord. Now that's a God I could believe in, a warm, surreal, funny God. And that's one of my real problems with the Bible. There are no jokes. There's nowhere in the Bible where it says, and Jesus did say to his disciples, "Verily, my brothers, a Samaritan, an Israelite, and a Canaanite walk into the Bible." And if you look at the Old Testament, you'll notice that in the part where God speaks to Moses from the burning bush, he did not open with the words knock knock. So I ended up as an atheist who knows the Bible inside out. And I started wondering about all those crazy, wacky stories in the Bible. And I've come up with a couple of theories about the origins of these myths. Jerusalem is a very popular place for the three Abrahamic religions. Jerusalem's popularity as a site of religious experience may have caused some trouble over the years. Don't quote me on this, but I think it could have been responsible for just the tiniest amount of tension. Now, religions view this as evidence that they are true. They think God particularly likes that specific geographical area, just that one little bit. Here's my theory. I reckon there's just one main spring in Jerusalem where most people get their water. And in and around that spring are growing, I don't know, mushrooms? Or maybe truffles. So I think a lot of those crazy miracles could have happened something like this. Oh my God, look at that! Look at what? That! There! What? Where? What do you mean where? There is Jesus ascending to heaven. Look, you can see the choirs of angels adoring him. That's a seagull. Are you thirsty? You know, now you come to mention it, I am quite parched, yes. Yeah, drink this. Oh, thank you very much. Lovely. Very refreshing. Slightly mushroomy. Oh my God, you're right. Jesus ascending to heaven. I can see the hosts of angels too. That's amazing. That's just, whoa, look, over there, look, there's purple elephants playing leapfrog. Bloody hell, what's happening to my legs? If lots of people in a small geographical area start seeing crazy things, the human reaction seems to be to look up to the heavens and to look for gods. I think we should be looking down because there's probably something in the water. Theory number 2. Abraham was a man who heard a voice in his head which he decided was God. The voice in Abraham's head told him to take his son to the top of a mountain and sacrifice him, and at the last moment told him to stop. Now, that must have been a very tense walk back down the mountain. In biblical times, hearing voices in your head made you a prophet. These days, it makes you mentally ill. And it's interesting to note that in the Bible, prophecy runs in families. So, could all religious myths be down to hallucination or undiagnosed mental illness? Well, it would explain the insanity and the contradictions and the inconsistency and the evil that you get in a lot of religious books. This book is full of madness. It was written by hallucinating mad people. Oh, well, that makes much more sense. I won't bother with that anymore. My upbringing made me an atheist who knows all the parts of the Bible that Christians wish other people didn't know. Like the rude parts. In the story of Aholibah, you will find the verse, "There she lusted after her lovers, whose genitals were like those of donkeys, and whose emissions were like those of horses." That's Ezekiel chapter 23, verse 20. And I'm pretty certain they've never used that as a reading on Songs of Praise. Deuteronomy teaches us that men with crushed testicles or whose privy member has been cut off will never enter the congregation of the Lord. So just remember, if you kick a man in the nuts, you're not just assaulting him, you could be stopping him from getting into heaven. My parents also taught me about morality. They gave me a moral education and then they made me read the Bible. Bad move, Mum and Dad. Violence, intolerance, sexism, hatred, homophobia, slavery. Oh look, a verse about peace. Misogyny, violence, hatred, racism, homophobia. Wow, look, a tiny verse about helping the poor. Oh, it's crying because it's all scared and alone and surrounded by hate. I'm sorry, Mum and Dad. I refuse to believe in a God I feel morally superior to. And I'm a fucking twat. Mind you, most people can feel morally superior to the God of the Old Testament. In 2 Kings chapter 2, God sends bears to kill 42 children, all because those kids called his prophet Elijah Baldy. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's a little harsh. And of course, there's also the story of Noah, where God, after being offended by a few human beings, kills every living thing on this planet. Definite signs of anger management issues. And let's not forget the mass murder of firstborn sons in Egypt. Wow, you know, God's really racking up the offences. In fact, the God of the Old Testament is one of the most unpleasant characters in all of literary fiction. And it's not just the Old Testament. I also have a big problem with the main gospel message of the New Testament, where we have to accept Jesus as our personal saviour or suffer the eternal fires of hell. But it's God that judges you. So what Jesus is actually telling us is, let me into your life so I can save you. What are you going to save us from, Jesus? I'm saving you from what I'm going to do to you if you don't let me into your life so I can save you. It's like a giant celestial protection racket. Very flammable looking, your soul, sir. Just a slight slip and whoomph, eternal hellfire. What you need is a personal saviour, if you know what's good for you. And if you're ever in a court of law, giving evidence, obviously, you will swear to tell the truth on the Bible. So what you're swearing on is slavery, misogyny, homophobia, thousands of dead children, and massive, wobbly, donkey-sized penises. I swear on the dead kids and the huge cocks to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the big veiny penises. Truth. Religions use guilt to control people. The Evangelical Baptist church that we went to when I was a kid could deliver 3 or 4 tons of guilt fresh every morning. At the church camp every summer, our mornings would be spent learning to feel bad about our bodies. Our afternoons were spent learning to feel even worse about our minds, particularly the parts that made us ask questions, because that's the devil. We would sleep in tents made of shame, eat Cinnaburgers for lunch, and we weren't allowed to leave until we had woven a cloak from our own self-loathing. Even as an atheist adult, I still have a big beard in the sky that I don't believe in, looking over my shoulder, telling me I'm bad. This is why I wake up most mornings with a cry of, "It wasn't me!" It's also why I'm in 2 minds about most things. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. And now I brought up guilt, I've realised that in the last 20 minutes, I've sworn, blasphemed, I've talked about injecting stuff into my penis. I've compared a God believed in by hundreds of millions of people to a gangster, and I've undermined the British legal system. So I would like to apologise for my terrible, disgusting behaviour. I'm Paul Scoble, and I'm very, very sorry. Good night. Right, it's going to be an interval now.